good, y'all? It's the one and only King Cal 516 live in the mix, and this is the Swiss Flames Podcast. Be sure to check us out on the website, www.swissflames.com. Hit us up on Twitter at Swiss Flames. Definitely check out the Facebook, YouTube page at Swiss Flames Podcast. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Please hit the notification tab. And to stay up to date with all the latest Swiss Flames Podcast. So LeBron James is now on the injury list for the Los Angeles Lakers, and so he didn't play last night in their embarrassing loss to the OKC Thunder. We won't even get into that game. I want to focus more on this latest injury, which, as reported by Shams Charania of The Athletic, it's expected LeBron to miss at least 1 week with an abdominal strain. The Lakers want to be cautious with LeBron James' injury early in the season, which is the right way to go. Sometimes you got to save the player from themselves. LeBron James' history tells me that he's the kind of guy that will play through nagging stuff. You know, he's a guy that's kind of been an Iron Man and known as Iron Man for most of his career, but his Lakers career has not been such, which kind of goes again to the thought of what's been said for a long time, and that is Father Time is undefeated. Now, if we go into LeBron's Lakers career, the first season that he's with the Lakers, he got that groin injury that took him out a good portion of the season. And he came back to try to make a little playoff push to help the Lakers get into the playoffs. It didn't work. And that season, some might say he underachieved a little bit. But that was the first time we really seen LeBron out extensive time in his career to that degree, right? And so maybe it's a fluke. So we go into the next season, which he didn't have any major injuries. That's the season where they got AD. That's the season that coronavirus hit and play stopped. But some skeptics are saying because he had that little break in between before going to the bubble, that might have helped preserve him. Okay. Now we go to last season. LeBron's playing, and this one was more of a fluke injury because you had a player run into LeBron leg, and then he injured his ankle. And that took him out for an extensive time last season, late in the season, and then LeBron comes right before the playoffs start. And to me, he just didn't see the same in the playoffs. It just didn't seem the same. His lateral movement and his acceleration, but that's just my opinion. And now we get to this season where very early on he gets bumped into the leg, and saying all of a sudden he sits out 2 games. He comes back for a couple of games, and now he has this abdominal strain. So I don't look at this and sit there and say, oh, LeBron's not taking good care of his body, because if you looked at him coming into the season, you can tell that he got leaner. So there was obviously work being done on his body. I think LeBron James takes great care of his body. But I also believe LeBron James is a guy who has a lot of wear and tear on that body with 19 seasons in the NBA, not to mention all those deep playoff runs that he was constantly going to at least to the finals. Right? What is he, like 4 for 6 on the finals or something like that? So all those final runs add probably a few more seasons to his wear and tear. And now we're just experiencing the age factor, right? I don't think it's a conditioning factor. I just think it's the age factor. And so I believe this is part of the reason why even you could say LeBron was a big advocate of trying to get another playmaker to take some of that pressure off. Because he's looking at his career and thinking, how can I preserve my career? So it's like, the first thing is, let's partner with another superstar. We got to get somebody who got some young legs. So you bring in AD. You're hoping AD can carry a lot of the scoring load, right? Then it's, hey, I need somebody with the playmaking skill set to take some of that playmaking ability. So now you bring in Russell Westbrook. And the thing is, even though both of these guys that they bring in are all-star talents, the thing we got to consider is that neither one of these guys are on LeBron James' level of greatness, right? As great as AD is, as a unicorn as he is, You understand what I'm saying? AD is not on LeBron's level. Neither is Russell Westbrook. And so, a blessing in disguise for the Lakers could be, with these injuries of LeBron, can AD and Russell Westbrook get themselves to another gear so that when LeBron comes back, LeBron doesn't have to do as much, right? Because as good as a playmaker Russell Westbrook is, he's not a better playmaker than LeBron James. He's not a better decision maker as LeBron James. As great of a unicorn that AD is, he's not consistent in the clutch as LeBron James. Doesn't mean that LeBron James is a perfect player, because he's far from perfect, right? But his IQ, his level of decision making, his understanding what to do in the moment of the game is unmatched with any player on this team. And to me, although AD should be the best player on the team, in my opinion, I still say the best player on the team is LeBron. Because the team is obviously peaks way more when LeBron is on the floor versus when he's not on the floor. And don't get me wrong, if any one of those guys are out the game, the Lakers are going to be hurting. But you notice the bigger difference when LeBron's in the game compared to the other guys. Because he's still the best player on this team, which is not supposed to be. You understand what I'm saying? So, I know LeBron could be, and he probably is the most polarizing athlete in the United States of America. He is definitely the most popular athlete in the United States of America. He's one of the most popular athletes globally. We know soccer and basketball are two of the biggest global sports out there. You know, obviously, I would say soccer is probably number one. Basketball is probably number two. And so, you know, there's a few athletes globally that are rivaling LeBron James in popularity. You know, first athlete that I do believe does rival him globally would be Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. But after that, there's not too many, I think, that rival him on that global level. Maybe you could say Messi, maybe. Needless to say, we are experiencing greatness. So just like Kobe Bryant, just like Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, when they were riding out to the sunset, we're getting closer to the sunset of LeBron James' career. And I don't know how much longer he's going to play, but I know because he's so polarizing, you're going to find a lot of people who love him, and you're going to find a lot of people who hate him. That's what happens when you're polarizing. And whichever side of the coin you fall on the spectrum, that's your prerogative. Well, all I'm going to say is we are still witnessing greatness, but we do see that Father Time is catching up. And so, we'll see him on LeBron's journey if he will eventually catch Kareem and become the all-time scoring leader. And we'll see if he's able to catch another ring. But in the process, in trying to achieve those things, we will also find out if his body can hold up and sustain himself enough in order to accomplish those things. And we shall see in only due time. With that said, it's your boy King Cal 516 live in the mix. This has been the Switch Flames Podcast. Appreciate your support, y'all. Till next time, peace.